tell you what, the things I do to go live today. So before we even start, if we haven't even got people in yet, but you know what, this is what I have to sometimes deal with on a morning. I have to push my way through these guys every single morning. I tell you what, it can be an absolute pain sometimes, because sometimes they just do not want to move. But I've managed to squeeze my way through today. Literally, I don't know if you can tell you what, we'll show you. That's the gap that I've had to squeeze. I've literally had to squeeze myself through that tiny gap with the horses, the ponies literally pushing up against me. Good morning, Susan. Good morning. Welcome to Pony Central. we'll leave it on from there. But Christ on a bike, what a morning. How are you today? Hope you're doing good. Well, it's a usual nice little early foggy morning. It's going to be very warm again today. Excellent, you're okay. Excellent, good, Susan. Well, I'll tell you what, it's a very nice morning today in Barnsley. Very, very sort of nice foggy day today. Going to be another excellent warm day today. But I'll tell you what, it's going to be another glorious day. But there's nothing like getting out in the morning and having a good walk to start your day. And I know I normally do procrastinate about these and don't tell a lot of people when I do these. But yeah, thank you for joining me. How have we got so far? We've got 3 people joining us so far this morning. Yeah, weather's great, but bad news. Yeah. So 4 people now joining us. So to those 4 people, as of I think it was about 6 hours ago, the UK is officially in a recession. It's finally happened. 9. We're getting some more people in now. So, for those people just joining us, welcome to this, as was put by someone, lovely morning, but unfortunately very, very bad news. Well, enjoy your last dry walk, yeah. I'm going to be crying tears of our UK recession, so yeah. But yeah, lovely morning today, but as said by someone there, very, very, very bad news, unfortunately, this morning. The UK is in a recession. And that means job losses, people out of work long term, and everything, unfortunately, that goes with that. And like I say, the UK, this isn't 2008 UK either, that was in a very, very good position at that time. The UK is in a very, very different position than it was to 2008. You've already, one statistic I think was something about 5,000 families in, my area have to rely on food banks. I don't remember that statistic going into the 2008 crash, but I wonder how much of an effect that is going to have on the UK itself. And to be honest, it's not going to look good. It's not going to be good. All I can say is definitely make sure today you're watching Prime Minister's Question Times, because Prime Minister's Question Times. Zig there. Yes, it's a morning walk. Unfortunately, again, as I just said, last time I checked it was about 6 hours ago. The UK officially declared it was in a recession, and that isn't good. Unfortunately, that's going to be a lot of job losses. We'll have to see what old Rishi says this afternoon. Like I say, if you are in the UK, then I do highly recommend that you watch Prime Minister's Question Times. Why do I keep on saying Prime Minister's Question Times? Prime Minister's Question Time today. Oh, it's going to be fun. It is going to be so much fun. Needless to say, there is going to be a massive attack on what is going to happen today. It's going to be absolutely terrifying. It is going to be, well, it's not going to be terrifying, but I tell you what, it's not going to be good for a lot of people in the UK. There's already hundreds of thousands of people out of their jobs already. The job market is, I can tell you now from someone looking for a job at the moment. I do have an interview though, which is good. Yes, do hit that like button, please. It does help the stream immensely. Whoop. Or if not, share it into a do like and share the stream as well. It's raining cats and dogs in Aberdeen. Well, that's Aberdeen for you. Although I did once remember going to Aberdeen in April and it being absolutely amazing sunshine, and we're just sitting out in what's the hotel called now, down from the train station, can't remember what it's called now, but we're sitting in like its courtyard just going, oh, such a lovely day. Such a lovely day. Oh. Ain't Parliament. Oh yes, oh yeah, God, it is. Yes, it is in recess, isn't it? Oh, forgotten about that. Ah, Christ. Just got drenched there. Bird just fluttering about. So it's now officially a morning walk with a shower. But yeah, it could be, because that's happened. There might be an emergency session called. I don't know if that will be something that's been called, but the fact that obviously, like I say, today there has been that announcement. Literally within only been the past couple of hours it's been announced. It was on my Alexa as well when I woke up this morning. It said what was the top headlines for BBC News. Then yeah, it could be, we could get a special session. They might be, MPs might be called back from their recess early. But at some point, I suspect today there will be an announcement from Boris Johnson at some point. Expect that to be fun. I can tell you that now. But it's interesting for the fact that we are the first country to announce this, that we are going into a recession. So it'd be interesting to see how many countries follow in that. So it could be, like I said, the chances of a special session being called, I don't know. At the same time, I think there could be a good argument for there being one called. What's this? Care to comment on a 40k tournament happened recently? Orcs won by Warboss on bike. Next day FAQ bans it and breaks the list. That's, well, I tell you now, for an Orc player, that's that's typical. GW wants it to be like the fun 40k army, but then they never let orc players have any fun. Maybe we'll be kicked out of the G7. Yeah, we might go down to G20 status. We could be, indeed. That is something that could. Oh, that would be interesting to see that would happen. Oh yeah. Speaking of Brexit news, I don't know if you heard. Yesterday, it got announced that the Japanese UK trade deal has been stalled because Liz Truss decided that she wanted to include Stilton cheese in the deal. So essentially, when they can announce the full thing, that it makes it look better than the UK, not the UK, the EU Japan deal. And I tell you now, there's nowhere, when that full thing comes out for us, in no way, shape or form is it going to be anywhere near as good as anywhere near as good as the EU Japan deal. I tell you that now. There's a lot of hyping up about it, but when it comes to the big questions, we read this week we've got a very good video coming up, by the way, just to vamp it a bit. A very good video coming out about the Japanese Times, who did their take on Brexit. And the last piece of the article we went through says it best, that because we have such low tariffs already, we've got nothing really to offer Japan or any other country, because we're not lowering tariffs. We already have quite low tariffs being in the EU. The big question is, as was put to it, the best way for Britain to actually succeed, as it currently is to not join bilateral trade deals, but multilateral trade deals, like being in the EU and the single market. But I highly suspect, as always, I think there's a plan, ideally, essentially, and I think their plan is to try and join, get Japan to let it into the TTP. Also, it's pointless, because I don't know if you've read or you've seen the article. We only send about 100,000 pounds worth of actual cheese to Japan. It's one of those things that when it gets there, it's not very clearly not very sought after in Japan. Again, it's not where most of our cheese actually goes. Most of our cheese actually goes to the EU. If you saw me share the video last night of the two historians talking about how Brexit might be viewed in like the historical context of this country, it's going to be very, very interesting, because they were both agreeing, saying that, look, there's going to be this massive deal with the fact that and this was two historians saying this, that before we joined the EU, we were seen as like the basket case of Europe, the sick man of Europe. And because of Brexit and Boris Johnson, we're now being seen once again as the basket case of Europe. And he's just like, well, Brexiteers do keep on harking back for the past, so I guess that's one thing they've managed to achieve. They've reaffirmed the UK's status as the basket case of Europe. So congratulations on that, I suppose. But it's absolutely insane, and I've seen a lot of Brexit channels recently try and spin the deal as like the big plus and bonus to the like, oh my god, first sign of Brexit plus, and it's the deal with Japan, and it's just like we haven't actually even seen what this deal is going to be, and when it comes out, guaranteed, it is going to be picked over with a fine-tooth comb by many journalists and economists. And I guarantee you, I'm not a betting man, but I'd put a fiver on it to say that the deal with Japan ain't going to be any good as the one that we currently have now, being with them under the European Japan agreement. It's also interesting that they were also commenting on the fact that one of the big pillars of Margaret Thatcher's economic policy was to bring in foreign manufacturers, foreign car owners. That was Japan. And again, the big selling point was we were the gateway to Europe. And now we're not anymore, which, it does raise some serious concerns. The one interesting thing he did say was that Brexiteers didn't really want to leave the EU. But we've seen that in an interesting come out, especially, in their language, that, that they expect a special privileged access, that the UK expects, special access. And you're like, wait, how can the UK demand special access? It doesn't make sense. And the EU's been very clear from day one that there's going to be no special access, special privileges offered by the EU to the UK, because it is the one leaving. So it's bizarre times, folks, but it just reinforces the point of what we've said all along, that the Brexiteers have no idea, not the first clue about Europe or anything of the sort. But there you have it. That's Boris Johnson. But anyway, how are we all now? We've got a good amount of people in now. 26 people. 26 people and only 9 likes. Come on, guys. Hit that like button. Helps the stream. Helps the stream, helps the channel. Oh, excellent. We're going up. That's what we like to see. So we like to see more likes. 27 people. 14 likes. That's it. 16 likes. There we go. Come on, we're chasing those likes. Anyway, what have they got here? So, Helder. So, Trump has put off any deal for the UK this year. Japan can't give the UK a better deal than the EU. No trade deals signed of any significance. Yeah, that's true. That is true. There was. I've been thinking of going. Hi from the US coast. Did I miss the ponies? Yes. You did miss the ponies. Into regards to the US deal, there ain't going to be one, because it's very, very evident Trump isn't going to be in a position to do one by the looks of it, and they are worried. There's 2 camps here, because there's 2 been very interesting articles that you've seen written of. One, what if Trump loses? The worry of the Brexiteer faction of what if Trump loses. There's also ones being written about what if Trump wins and what that could mean for Brexit. So we've got some very, very interesting times ahead, especially especially when it comes to Brexit and that US deal. But the chances of it happening this year, I can't see it happening, to be honest. And if Biden does win, which please let him win. Also, Kamala Harris just announced his vice presidential running pick as well. So that could be very interesting, because obviously Biden was part of the Obama administration. The Obama administration had said it very clearly that you'll be at the back of the line from when we do a trade deal. Only that, Biden himself is a huge supporter of Ireland, so he will not want to see us give Ireland the shaft in any trade deal. It will be highly, highly against them in that way. Oop. So it'll be very, very interesting to see how that's going to be reacting, because that was one of the big selling points and everything that they'd been pushing for. God damn it. Everything that they'd been pushing for post-Brexit was, oh, we're going to do this amazing deal with America. It's going to be fantastic. And if, you've got Biden in, the chances of any type of deal happening and are not going to be anytime soon. Not anytime soon. And like I said, America is a lot more economically powerful than us. As we've said it before, a bigger economical power will just force its will and what it wants from us, because they don't need us. The US doesn't need a trade deal with the UK. It's not its top priority. And you see this from the Brexiteers when they're trying to talk to the EU, making demands of the EU, as if the EU is just going to bend over and quiver from fright of being, oh no, the UK is demanding this. Whatever shall we do? We have to keep on reminding the Brexiteers that the EU is a union of 27 countries under one economic union. So to think that they're going to get any concessions from the EU is pointless. And as I say, October crisis, my friends, it's coming. And not only that, but we're now in a recession, just announced this morning. So, there you go. All right, hold on, let's stop hearing some comments. Oop. Yeah, so Kamala Harris, Boris Johnson's given Northern Ireland hush money, pretty much, but it's exactly what they did to get the DUP support on the side, so not surprising. And of course, Japan deal is only going to be worth to us 0.07%. So thank you for that. Oh yeah, you got your Tim Tams, of course. Are there any recent polls feeling the pulse of the population regarding Brexit? Has the needle moved in direction at all since Bojo's come to power? Not really. Although there are more polls to say that people would vote to remain now. That does seem to be the general direction. Yeah. Tams for bargain buckets. Do you think Trump has personally supported Brexit as a divide and conquer tactic against the EU? Yeah, but then Americans, if you look at American politicians themselves, they have been very, very flaky about actually supporting the EU versus actually not. It's really weird, because sometimes they talk about the EU or how good it is, but when it comes to like the talks of trade and things like that, that's where they get really flaky about it. Most American politicians where they're talking a favour about the EU, very often in the same breath they're not talking about it. He did promise Macron a great deal if he left the yeah, France ain't going to leave. France ain't going to leave at all. I think we've talked about this before, the difference between the British Euroscepticism and European Euroscepticism. Massive difference between the two about what it wants to achieve and its goals and ideals. British Euroscepticism has been to completely leave not the EU politically, but economically as well. It's very, very libertarian in its thinking, while the European Euroscepticism is a lot more nationalistic. Whereas they talk about leaving it politically, but then remaining and being a member of the single market and customs union. So this is from Perny Bird. Kamala Harris is an awful choice. She was California Attorney General and increased huge numbers of black men in prison and low-level drug offences and putting parents in prison. Yeah, I don't know a lot about her, to be honest. But yeah, could she be? The interesting thing I heard this morning is the reason why he's chose her is because Biden's actually quite old. In fact, interestingly enough, he said that he might only run one term. So it makes his VP pick be very important, because you could see Kamala Harris running herself at the next, what would it be, 2024, 25, something like that. The next election, presidential election, would be. Because Biden's old. As it's been, I think it's been pointed out, Biden and Trump are like the oldest running presidents in recent history. So I think that's why he's gone for her, because again she's sort of young. I think the idea is that she will take up the reign after Biden. Kanye West versus Kamal. Okay, that would be quite funny. That would be quite funny. But I think it's going to be interesting how this recession is going to affect my town. Because not only is this town still suffering from the effects. Oh, we've got two dogs joining us this morning. Oh, nice spaniel. Hello. Don't know if you can see it there. Solidness. But yeah, my town's still suffering the effects of the miners' strike, of all things, back from 1984. You know, there's still unemployment and that regards to that hasn't still been sorted out. Not only that, much of the UK, the further you get away from London, are still suffering the effects of the 2000 crash. You know, our levels of pay, especially up here, were about £4 behind the level of pay you'd be if you went down further south. And obviously that gets a bit lower as you go towards London. So very interesting times about how this is actually going to affect the UK itself and my town. I'm quite worried. I think this town's in for a hard couple of years, especially under the Tories, because Tories aren't going to help the North, despite the fact of Boris's promise to build. In no way, shape or form is it going to be anywhere near as good. But unfortunately, that's what you get when you vote in nationalistic idiots. But not a lot you can do. Although I have to say, I am very impressed with the fact that the Conservatives, as much as they hate socialism, I hope you've been eating out to help out and getting your money off from Boris. Of course, deal runs from Monday to Wednesday, so if you haven't got yourself out to grab some food, then go grab some food on Boris. And that is actually quite socialist. Which again, it's insane. Ooh, question there about Tory voted in the North. Hold on, let me just get into some shade because I can't see the comments in this sun. High Street is also collapsing. People realise what's going on. Things will be Grimsby very soon. Yeah. Serves those Labour voters up north right for being Tory shafted. I did say this last live stream that we have to be careful about what's known as Remainer revenge, because it's not going to endear these people for when it comes time to voting back in, if they perceive we were the ones that, after everything went to pot, we were the ones continuously giving them the shaft again. And as I've said, you have to make a difference between Brexiteers like Boris Johnson, Nigel Farage, Michael Gove and all that, versus a Brexit supporter who is, the average man on the street. I think you have to make a big separation between the two, because the Brexit supporter was someone who was conned in voting for what they were voting for. That was it. And yeah, it is funny to laugh at them. We do it on my channel. We did laugh at the Farage Garage, which is a fantastic name, by the way. That's the type of thing that we need to be doing to get revenge. Making the Brexiteers be the one to support it, which is why I think one of the best things Keir Starmer is doing is he's not talking about Brexit. He's not saying that we should remain or anything like that. He's just letting Boris get on with it, because at that point Boris and the Brexiteers then have to take responsibility for it. I said it before, it was a big disappointment, about the loss of the last election, but all the Brexiteers are in charge now. They've got a majority. They can't really be stopped. And there you go. It serves Keir Starmer immensely just to let Boris Johnson get on with it, and it serves people who are Remainers, or should we call ourselves Rejoiners now? I suppose it depends on what you want to be called, I suppose. But yeah, it serves us immensely to be to just let Brexit happen, because we've always said from the very start it's going to be disaster. All the experts have always said and say, look how bad this is going to be. The fact that you have also announced that the border on Kent is going to be moved up. I feel incredibly sorry for the people of Kent, but hey, this is what you apparently voted for. But feel good for it. Oh, morning. So it does come to be really, really interesting times at the moment in the UK. But I'll tell you what, Boris and the Tories being in charge at this time really does worry me. Really, really does worry me. Before we do my little balancing act. Let's go read some comments before we cross that. UK cannot afford a cliff edge. Yeah, it can't afford a cliff edge, especially not at this moment. And like I say, we are, to my knowledge, I think we are the first country to announce a recession. Again, like I say, it'd be interesting to see who follows that, if anyone actually does follow. We could be in an interesting situation where the UK might be the only one to actually have a recession crash, although I doubt it, though. I think the US might be headed that way as well. And if the US does that, and that does open a whole different kettle of fish. Hey, hey. Thank you very much. So yeah, we have to be. Yeah. As of about what, 6, probably 7 hours ago, it was announced. Like I say, expect at some point today an announcement by Boris Johnson. There has to be. There could be an emergency session of Parliament. I was saying when I started the stream today, I was looking forward to Prime Minister's question time. Not quite to see question times, but of course they're on. The MPs are on recess today, so that ain't gonna happen. Yeah, we are in for very, very hard times in the UK. It's going to be, you know, I dread to think, because I think we've talked about this before. Oh, hi from Eric there. We've talked about this before, about how the Brexiteers G'd up the UK, politician, not the UK politicians, the UK public, about how wonderful Brexit was going to be. And I worry about the fact that that anger is going to be, because this was sold to people as this was going to make your lives better. This was going to be a way to, improve your lives. You wouldn't have to worry about immigrants coming for your job. When it wasn't EU immigrants, you had to worry about the, number of immigrants were not coming from the EU. It was outside the EU, Was it facts don't care about your feelings? And that's the situation the UK has been put in. It's unbelievable. People that have been sold a false bill of goods, sooner when they realise that because sooner or later this jubilation about leaving the EU is going to turn on them. It is absolutely going to turn on them. And the problem is we have to be careful where that anger gets pointed, because you've seen throughout the past couple of 4 years that anger pointed towards politicians, pointing towards judges, even pointed at Remainers. So we have to be really careful that when that anger does happen, that we're there, and that this is why I was talking about how it is important not to be perceived as taking revenge Brexit supporters, but we have to be there to make sure that we get them and we turn that anger on the people who deserve it the most, and that is the Brexiteers. That is Boris Johnson, Nigel Farage, Michael Gove, and currently the Tory party, who are obsessed with this. Hello. Yeah, the UK is already more angry than it ever was. It's absolutely insane. Who's that not going to stay? I can't. Linda, I will not stay. You know what? I talked about this last stream as well, but it's hard not to be in a position where you wouldn't think about leaving. But it's really hard. I don't have the resources to pick up and move to another European country. I don't know another foreign language. I don't know a European language. And a lot of people I know last stream did say, just come to the Netherlands. Everyone speaks English anyway. It's incredibly hard. So, social gadfly, democracy is born out of anger and people taking power into their own hands. This is how societies learn and progress. Yet, to some point, I do agree with that, but you've got to look at things like the French Revolution of the public anger turned against politicians so many times. This is why I think in France there is such political activity and political engagement by the French public. And I wish with the British public were about a third of as engaged as people in France were about their politics. That would be a massive change in this country. Oh, so who's next? Why are you concerned that turning this anger? Why are you so convinced that turning this anger is possible? I feel like large sectors of people will be either unwilling or incapable of admitting they were wrong. It will when it affects their lives. Because this whole thing about, they can't admit when they're wrong. Yeah, there will be people who will not be able to admit that they were conned. You see this all the time of when the psychology of when people are actually conned. There is a stage of just unacceptance to be, that they were conned, and they will just follow the tune of whatever people like Nigel Farage and Boris Johnson will sing about why Brexit isn't working, or they'll blame it on the EU, or they'll blame it on us somehow, even though again they're the ones in charge, which is why I've said it's one of the good things that they've got such a high majority. They can't blame anyone else but themselves for this. There you go. But I am convinced that you can change this anger around. And that's why I'm keep on saying to people, be careful about taking what would be perceived as Remainer revenge. Be ready when that anger comes, that you're there saying, hold on, the people who are responsible for this are Nigel Farage, Boris Johnson, etc., etc. Prepare your list, and there's quotes and video clips aplenty of them saying how wonderful life is going to be once we leave the EU, and it's really not. It's going to be it's going to make the UK a lot worse a place. Yeah, it's still going to be livable, don't get me wrong, but the world has moved on since the 50s, when not the 50s, the early 70s, when we joined the original European single market. So what's next? Mr. Olson. I'm not talking about MEP. Many negotiators are British. It's true. Well, Ireland has plenty of jobs. That is the place I was thinking of going, to be honest. I don't think Scotland, if it does go independent, Scotland isn't going to be in for a good time when it goes independent either. But that's another topic for another time. Yeah, there is still a housing problem in the UK as well. In fact, we're in a housing crisis. Everyone admits we're in a housing crisis. I disagree. The British are not stupid. I'm from Europe anyway, so just going back home. Sorry to see you leave, Linda. That's about, again, big shame about Brexit. So see, we sold a dud. Faith in British people. That's what I hope as well. Move to Denmark. Everybody speaks English. That is true. Whenever I've brought this up, everyone just says, "Oh, everyone speaks English in Europe anyway," so it's just like it's not an issue. Very bad things can happen via the ballot box. Germany, 1933, for example. Yeah, that is the worrying thing. What if, what if someone like Farage takes this anger and turns it into something more worrying? That is the big issue that I worry about. How possible it might be, don't know. Nope. Oh yeah, Liz Truss as a negotiator. Yeah, that's truly terrifying. Um, as a militant Remainer, I'm ready for the blame and happy, and will happily deflect it. Be careful about being too militant a Remainer. That's the big problem. And yeah, Farage is already trying to sow seeds in other countries, but I don't think that's going to work as well for him in other countries. You know, but you never know. You hope not. But as I say, there is a difference between European Euroscepticism and British Euroscepticism, and it's a lot of different. The European Euroscepticism, as I always see it, is a lot more nationalistic. So they'd leave the EU politically, but they would never leave things like the single market and the customs union. But then that brings into a question of, well, how do you oversee rules and regulations? You've got to have some sort of body that that regulates and brings in those laws. Then you've got to have a judge system that oversees those things. So one of the big things that for any European movement is always trying to square away how useful the single market and customs union has been and how successful it has been to many countries, especially the UK, over the years. It has been so successful for the UK. It's what has been built and helped to build our economy so much over these past couple of years. We wouldn't be where we are today not being in the single market, and that's the insane thing. Every, European Eurosceptic would admit and just say, yeah, it has been good, and that's why we're probably going to stay in it. But that's where, British Eurosceptics will just turn around and just say, oh, it doesn't matter, because, we survived long before. And that was again, I posted a video last night about you had two historians they were saying how a Tory supporter goes from being an enthusiastic European supporting person to someone now who votes to leave the European Union. And I think that itself is a very interesting journey. In fact, I found a really good article. It was written last year by one of those guys, all about that. So I think I'll probably go over that on the channel at some point in probably the next, not this week, but maybe next week. Because it was a very, very good article, to be honest, about the journey that these people have had. They don't see the doom and gloom that they used to. They see it as more as a nostalgia, very rosy sense of things, which is what's driving Brexit ultimately. This sense of nostalgia that we've been there and done it before, that somehow we'll survive. And the UK will survive outside the European Union. No one's no one disagreeing with that. What we disagree with is how effective we have been outside the European Union. It wasn't effective at all. So we've got someone with Italians taking away Silviani's mandate. I feel it's going to stir up some bad fuzzies, possibly. I'm not too, like I say, I'm not too up and sure on other countries' politics. But if you do see an article or something that you want me to have a look at, do send it me on the channel. If you are one of my patrons, to shameless plug, if you are one of my patrons, you do get a link where you can email me such articles. So if you do want to support me, you can do. If not, there is a one-off donation link as well for Buy Me Coffee if you'd like to support me that way. Or best way to support the channel is just, like this video. We've got 27 likes and 57 people watching. We want to see more likes. So hit that like button. That helps out enormously. And, subscribe to the channel so you can see more videos. If I may ask what you normally do for a living besides uploading a video or two daily, well, I was in marketing, unfortunately. I got made redundant because of the corona crisis, unfortunately. The company that I was working with basically hadn't had any income since March, and we dealt primarily with doing events for businesses, and we also provided events and some of the things for schools. So with schools being effectively closed still, and that not being seen really, even if schools do open in September, a lot of schools are going to have what they're called exclusion policies, where someone from outside of the school can't come into the school. So that's pretty much rendered our business all but spent. We had a employee list of about 35 people, and we've now gone down to 6 last time I heard. Yeah, the company's trying desperately to hang on, and I don't blame my boss for what he's had to do. He's not the only company out there that's having to make some really, really tough decisions. But, I wish the company all the best. I do hope they survive. They're a great company to work for. And, I do wish them all the best. And like I say, it's, fingers crossed for me in the job hunt now. So, anyway, that's that. Farage might be able to stir up some trouble, but on the other hand, I don't really think the nationalists from various countries would really take well to a Brit telling them what to do. Yeah, that's what I think as well. I think it's more Farage supporting people that want it, like Le Pen, or what's the guy in the Netherlands? Oh, I can't remember his name now. But he looks like a really weird supervillain. I can't remember what his name is now, but he's from the Netherlands. I don't know. I'm a bit more optimistic about that. What's that, Greg? I'm a bit more optimistic that people can learn and people can be better. I think as a liberal, you do strive to take people and see the best in people and know that people can, survive and do well better than they were before. So I think in the UK there is a serious issue of lack of political educational understanding about what it means and what the UK is and what it actually does. I think education to our politics needs to definitely be introduced at some point of level of education. I don't know where you'd introduce it, but it needs to be in there somewhere. And then political engagement. I think political engagement in this country has been really, really shocking. I think that's what almost helps a lot of sometimes, because people just aren't politically engaged and they aren't aware of what's going on in Parliament from a day-to-day perspective. For example, you would not, if you were to follow the main UK press, you would not be able to know what was going on in the European Parliament. And I think that was a big factor in Brexit itself. People just didn't realise what was going on, what was being discussed, and how important it was to the UK. So I think something about that needs to be done. Not all will survive, though. Many people will die. The UK is going to go through a fall, and a hard fall. Yeah, we're going to have to go through a hard fall, and we are going to have to go through a really hard retrospective look at ourselves. This thing about British exceptionalism. And I've said it a long time before. This whole thing about British exceptionalism is what is driving Brexit. It's this almost mass national delusion we've conned ourselves into thinking. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what happens next year. Social gadfly. I think that's the big issue you'll see, especially next year. I think you'll see another manifesto come out from the Tories about their ideas for a post Brexit Britain, because their manifesto pretty much ran up to let's get Brexit done, and that was about it. So prepare for some very interesting announcements, I think, come January, February next year. But we'll have to see. Who knows? Boris Johnson might just cave and might ask for an extension. I doubt he will, but you never know. Yeah, COVID has put a lot of people out of work. Most of it people on 0-hour contracts. And that's the big thing that, again, we need to tackle in this country, but no one, the Conservatives aren't going to tackle it. Gert Wilders, that was it. Yeah, he does look like this really weird supervillain. I can't remember what it's called now, but he looks like Santa. But he's like psychic, and he controls like a big group of apes. He's a DC villain. Can't remember what his name is now. People are worse off the more right wing they vote. I don't know about that, actually. That'll be interesting to see. Wiki check the name Bond villains. That's true. Greetings from Portugal. Hello there. Right now in America, you're doing introspection. Sadly, have people in the UK care deeply about. I fear for the future. Yeah, I fear for our future as well. It's going to be very, very tempting. Does anyone remember the Tories basically saying they would move planning of concept permission from the manifesto? Yeah, it is a taste of things to come. Definitely a taste of things to come. But yeah, we'll see. Yeah, it's going to be absolutely terrifying. I tell you that now. And remember, they've got a majority, so there's going to be nothing that any party can do to stop them. Even if Labour, SNP, Lib Dems, Greens, whatever parties, I think those are all the parties in Parliament, got together, even the independents got together, they'd have no chance of stopping anything that the Tories could do. So I was fascinated by some interactions with a few Brexiteers in which they basically said that the UK saved Europe from the Nazis. Yeah, that's part of the UK delusion of we stood alone against them. You know, there was no such thing as the Allies. I live in Denmark. Everybody vote mostly to the left, even though the right wing are lefty in your standard. They won't get any vote. Yeah, that's the thing. But I think Denmark is a lot more proportional representation. That you've had for years big shift to the left of where, you know, if you got someone who was right wing over to our country, they considered, you know, someone who was a leftist, a Labour, probably even further than that. They'd probably be about as left as, dare we say it, Jeremy Corbyn. You know, even though Jeremy Corbyn really wasn't that too much of a left wing. He was basically introducing a lot of policies that are already in place in places like Denmark. So right now in America, the Republican Party has felt they were unstoppable. That is true, definitely. I think Trump gave them a lot of emboldens to that, and they now feel that they're. And they now fear that their actions of those people as the orange traitor has put the Republican future in danger. Well, what I often say is, especially for that, I think it was said right at the beginning, what the problem that Trump brings is not Trump himself, it's who comes after Trump. That's the big worry that a lot of people in America should be worried about. Who comes after Trump? Because Trump has proved that you can get there on a very, very nationalistic, very popularist right front, and that support for it is there, and that's what's worrying. So hopefully the Republican Party is going to do some introspectional thinking as well, and not allow it. But you have people in America at the moment who are running, who are QAnon supporters and are openly supporters of QAnon, and they're running for Congress and things like that. So that's shocking, really is, that you have people on that front and that stage running for serious public office who are out and out open conspiracy theorists. But there you go. That's the big problem, especially in America. But I think you do have to worry about who comes next. I think that is the more worrying thing. Who comes after Trump? Even if it's Biden, you have to worry about who might decide, well, Trump did so well running on this platform, I'm going to just run it on this platform. And I think you got really lucky, to be honest, that it was Trump and that he was just so, well, incompetent in the way that he ran his office and his presidency, that you got really lucky when you rolled the dice. Be thankful for that it wasn't someone who was a somewhat competent. They could have done a lot worse damage than Trump. A lot more damage than Trump. And don't get me wrong, Trump has done definitely seeming a lot of damage, not only that, but internationally to America. Have to see, like I say, beware who comes next. That's the real danger. Denmark had its days. Some policies not so left, especially immigration. Immigration. It's funny how a lefty country can be so rich. Yeah, I know. It's almost like lefty policies actually work. Yeah, that's the thing, and it's funny that you think there was a really good piece actually written by someone from Momentum, which I think which I think should be worth going through, and it's the feeling that when a lot of people have been interviewed, especially in the north, like a former, someone who would have voted Labour traditionally, jumped to the Conservatives and literally said in an interview, "Thank God Corbyn wasn't in charge." And you're like, wait a minute, hold on. You do realise that, especially what Boris has done, and especially Rishi Sunak, are quite socialist policies when they come into it. So it's if we did have Corbyn, we would certainly be having a lot more policies. It would have probably helped a lot of people help keep their jobs and that in those directions. So I think there for the break, that's the upsetting thing. Unfortunately, we'll never know what it was like to have Corbyn as a prime minister. I think he'd have been a very good prime minister. I definitely think his policies, his openness would have been, would have been good for this country. But there you go. Republican Party's running scared. Yeah. I think especially in America, you've got a very interesting time ahead. Although more worryingly, as I've said this before, you've got an unfortunate situation of especially right-wing militias. You saw, what was it, just during the crisis of where a right-wing militia broke into not only forced themselves into a state representative. I think it was Michigan. I want to say it's Michigan. Might not have been. Forced themselves into there, and then pretty much laid siege while they couldn't vote. The worrying thing is, what if that happens again during an election? And the sad thing is, it's happened before. In Florida, Roger Stone engineered a riot almost because they were trying to do recounts. So he shouted out that they were trying to fix the election, and then almost a riot started, which stopped recounts happening, which led to Bush being elected. And that is unfortunate precedent you face in America. You could see that happen, and I especially worry what happen a lot more violent scale, which should be quite concerning. President for life. Well, I very much doubt that's going to be happening. I mean, hopefully, even if he does lose, he will leave. I mean, that's the best thing to do. Just up and for him to leave. It won't ever happen in the UK. They vote against their own interest. I hope not. I have faith in who does it. In that, we should be striving to move forward and make our lives and our society better. That is my belief as a leftist, and I can't stop that belief that people are going to be voted to make their lives better, but you have to make them believe that that is the case. And a lot of people, especially in the North, have been downtrodden for over the past 10 years because of austerity and the damage that he's done to places like my town. To quote one of my local councillors, things just disappear, and that's the sad thing. Things just disappear. Projects that used to help young mums just disappear. My friend used to work for a charity in the local area that used to help people be employed. They disappeared about 2-3 years ago now, because the funding just went. The council just said, sorry, we can't do it anymore, and they just disappeared. And it's not just things like that, it's things like play groups and stuff like that. That's really important to a local part of the town or village that they're in, and it just disappears. And that's the worrying thing. And I worry that that's going to be an unfortunate trend now that we are, as I said, as of this morning, we are now officially in a recession, and we're left with what is easily the most right-wing party and right-wing politicians this country has ever seen in recent memory. That's definitely a worry, and they've got a majority as well. So, and there's nothing we can do to stop them if we tried. So if they want to sell the NHS off, well, we can certainly protest about it. That's one thing. But you can't stop them in Parliament because they've got such a large majority. I'd be worried about who follows Biden. By the looks of it, that's probably going to be Kamala Harris. Biden said that he's only going to run one term, which pretty much guarantees that Kamala Harris is going to be probably, 2024, 25, something like that, for the Democrats. I feel like Trump has reached the dictator's dilemma. If he loses power, he'll be investigated and prosecuted for years. It's now playing for all the marbles. That could be true. But it would be interesting to see whether or not the Democrats do want to go after Trump. Um, we'll see. We'll see if they've got the spine to do it. But you know what? Democrats in the past just have not had the spine to do pretty much of anything. So I very much doubt they'll go after Trump. But the catch to end is to many Trump, and that we're really seeing the end of days for the Empire USA, which will decline and will catch up with me eventually. That is true. China's going to overtake you eventually. Trump was elected as a backlash to how Obama abandoned the working people after 2008 collapse. Yeah, but that was also Trump's platform as well, and by the looks of it, he hasn't helped those people in those areas either. So, you can all the promises you want, but if you don't fulfill those promises, well, that also has an impact. Yeah, well, we hope the UK would correct and hopefully not double down. That's the truly worrying thing. A lot of homelessness happening in the USA now. Yeah, I've heard about that actually. Apparently, you're facing an eviction crisis because obviously people haven't been able to pay the rent. And Trump, if he wanted to, could have instituted a rent freeze. He could have done that, but just chosen not to. I was brought up in the US, America. It's a crazy place. Like the saying goes, only in America. Hello from Ireland. Hello. I'm not a fan of Corbyn, but he shot himself in the foot by not handling the anti-Semitism problem in the party, as well as having a series of strange stances. It's not that he didn't have a set of strange stances, and the whole anti-Semitism thing. There was no smoking gun. The reason why he was continuously, targeted for that was because he had such a pro-Palestinian stance, and Israel, and especially the, Israel lobby, didn't want someone from such a big country in the UK having such a pro-Palestinian stance. But then that's the power of the Israeli lobby for you, unfortunately. I pretty much prefer Keir Starmer. He's doing all right, but we'll see what happens when he starts to actually put out some policies. And sooner or later he's going to have to put out some policies. And I've said that this is a legitimate criticism of him at the moment, that he hasn't put out any policies, and he needs to. But until he puts anything out, we won't know which way the wind is going to fall on Starmer. Whether he's going to try and make a lurch back towards sort of the centre-right ground, I suppose, or whether he's just going to sort of keep the party certainly on the left. Like I say, that I do have some sort of hope, because he did say that the 2017 manifesto was a good place for Labour to start from. So I do have hope that he will keep that. So we'll see. Oh, Maximilian's joined us. Sorry, just arrived. Oh, so these people with guns are just concerned about the government tyranny over wearing a mask. Yeah, that is true. That is true. But like I say, America's definitely in for your election could be very interesting. I hope it's not going to be interesting in that way, but I do hope that you have an interesting election. And like I say, October, it's going to be actually quite fun, because you're going to have an October crisis in in the UK, followed quickly by the presidential election in November. So, those 2 months are going to be very fun, both in the UK and the US. Hopefully, you hope that the US will redeem themselves by voting in Biden, and you hope that they'll do it. Yeah. Oop. Oop. I do wish someone would bring some clippers and just cut this path back because it's massively overgrowing. But yes, anyway, thank you all for watching today. We'll continue on this walk. So we've probably got another about 30 minutes before we end the stream. So if anyone's got any burning questions, anything like that, now's the time to, I suppose, put them forward. But yes, obviously the big news today, the reason why we're doing this stream is, of course, as of waking up this morning, the UK is now in a recession. And it's not going to be a good couple of years for the UK, I'll tell you that now. Especially with the Tories in charge and the majority. I really do worry. I really do. Yeah, the R word, recession. But like I say, I suppose at some point today there will be an announcement by Boris. There has to be at some point today. Obviously, Parliament's not in session. I wish it was, because I tell you now, it would make for very, very interesting question times in Parliament. I'll tell you that now. Oh. Yeah. 2 consecutive quarters, negative growth, and, buccaneering, Brexit, ahoy. You're all right there. Maybe we should all just become pirates and start, we'll just reignite piracy. We'll all start sailing towards the Caribbean and start, buccaneering around the Caribbean again. And, that's how we solve the UK's recession crisis. We reignite piracy back in the Caribbean. It's a new golden age of piracy. Oh. What's this? Watch out for Trump to crash US economy. I'm surprised Trump hadn't done it sooner, but it does look like there is a recession coming. So, yeah, Trump will of course never take any accountability for it. He'll say, "Oh no, we had the best. They had the best economy." Yeah, he won't take any. He won't take any accountability or any acknowledgement that it's his fault. That this recession in the US happened on his watch. He'll blame anyone but Trump. In fact, today I found a good audiobook stream of the Mary Trump book. The what's it called now? Everything but Never Enough, something like that, I think it was called. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to give that a listen this afternoon, because I think that will be quite interesting to see a background information on Trump himself. That'll be very interesting. Third wave Brexit, possibly, but we are looking at a second wave. It's typical. We haven't even sorted out any of the infection rates, and yet decide to open everything back up. And of course, the second he does, infection rates rise again. Who could have seen that coming? Except all the scientists. And that's, again, I think we're going to see that second wave. And of course, not Trump, Boris has said that, he's going to keep the schools open regardless. That's going to be incredibly worrying, because even though children are not as vulnerable or susceptible from what we've seen to coronavirus, they can still get it, they can still fall victim to it, and they can be carriers of it. And if you imagine a school of 600 pupils plus teachers plus support staff in there, teacher assistants, secretarial workers, maybe admin could be in the school as well. That's a lot of potential for a lot of infection, because if one child's parents get it and he goes into school, that's potentially his entire class, his teacher could infect all the other teachers, and of course it's a matter of who they infect. And yeah, schools are ground zero for coronavirus. It's gonna be absolutely insane. Yeah, chickenpox and measles. Yeah, you just go and look how quickly when someone gets chickenpox and it just shoots around the entire class. It's insane. Back, because I said we worked in my company worked with schools. We've had a couple of cases where we've had people come and work for us, and we have to say, have you ever had chicken pox? And the other thing we've had to say is, well, have you ever had MMR jab? We've had to stop people working with us because they haven't had the MMR jab, because they were born during the MMR scare and the parents didn't let them have it. So it's worrying times, but like I say, most of them, it wasn't a massive issue because he just went and got it, which I think he worked with us eventually, but he just had to go and get his jab. It wasn't the end of the world for him. But yeah, schools are going to be a massive zero ground hour for this. It's going to spread, and what if take that scenario, that child from that school then comes home, infects his parents go to work, they infect their works. In fact, one of the other things, interestingly enough, one of the reasons why there's so much coronavirus, especially in and around South Yorkshire area, is because a lot of carpooling takes place for people to and get from work. So someone's infected, they get in a carpool of 4 different people to go to work. That one person infects all those other 3. They infect everyone else. So it just spreads like that. And that's something that is it affects. But that's because these are low-income workers who can't afford a car or can't really afford to run a car, so they have to carpool. They have to go, I've got a car, this is the route I'm going to be taking, this is the shift pattern I'm on, who wants to join in? And by the way, it's X amount if you want to do it. That's the 0-hour contracts and low wage. That's what you'll do, and that's actually been a big contributor to spreading so much of it around, especially in my local area, because they have had a carpool around the place. So what can you do? You got to get to work. In fact, that's another interesting thing that I'm surprised hasn't come up, although I might have missed it. A lot of people have been on 0-hour contracts when they've been told to come in, have actually refused initially, and they were told that if they didn't come in, they'd get the sack. I'm surprised that hasn't had more national media attention, but oh well. Who knows? Maybe it'll come out later. But I'm expecting a very nice, juicy report into the coronavirus crisis. I think one thing that Starmer should be pushing for is a report into this whole mess, because the blame directly lies at the fault of Boris Johnson. Not only that, but at the feet of austerity as well. Austerity has done lots to damage our initial reactions to the corona crisis, because a lot of stuff hasn't been, properly funded, such as Public Health England, who have done absolutely sterling jobs during this crisis. But there you go. Oh yes, that was something that. Just a side note: those in the alt-right, QAnon, Charlie something, who makes anti-masks, went to a Trump rally in Tulsa and caught coronavirus and died. Yeah. What was it? Herman? I want to say Herman Cain. Was it Herman Cain? But yeah, in America, watch out for those QAnon people who are running for office, because I tell you now, those debates are going to be fun to watch if they haven't happened already. And what's worse is some of them are actually being endorsed by Trump, and they are running in states where they could actually win. So if you thought the Tea Party, with people like, what was it, Sarah Palin and what was her name now? Sarah Palin and the other crazy Republican who was was absolutely crazy. She's like, I'm not a witch. I'm not into witchcraft. Who would have thought you'd have to have an American senator come out and say that she's not a witch and she's never practiced witchcraft? But she did. I can't remember her name. Oh, what was her name now? Oh, it's driving me nuts. Michelle Malkin? I don't know if it was. It could have been. But yeah, she was another insane, crazy political mad woman who came from like the Tea Party. And it seems that QAnon is like the next Tea Party movement. It's bizarre, but there you go. So, we've got 41 likes and 46 views. Come on. There's 5 people need to hit the like button. We can match. We're about to. It's me. That's why I have to watch where I'm going. That's why I can't read at the same time. So I end up hitting my head on the branch. Just skip to the end and have Alex Jones as president. Oh my word. I think I said this, I don't know if people know about this. Back when I first started like making YouTube videos all the way back in like 2012, I actually used to make videos against Alex Jones. And I tell you now, arguing, would I rather argue with a Brexiteer or an Alex Jones supporter? I'd pick the the Brexiteer every single time, because I'll tell you what, they both might believe in different bizarre fantasies and bizarre, notions, but I'll tell you what, I'd rather argue with the Brexiteer and their bizarre notions than the Alex Jones and his bizarre conspiracies. I'll tell you that now. Yeah. Good Lord. You haven't argued with someone until you've argued with a conspiracy theorist who you've presented and given them direct information like that contradicts what they're saying, only for them to turn around and say something completely bizarre, like what you've just given them is like proof positive that a conspiracy exists because the government would create evidence to support that, conspiracy doesn't exist. So I'd pick arguing with a Brexiteer over an Alex Jones supporter any day of the week, and I've done it. I've been on, what were they called now? There's a conspiracy radio station in Manchester. I was on there once arguing with a guy about chemtrails, to a point where he was saying that the evidence that he was suggesting that chemtrails exist would be the point that everyone in Arizona would die because they were breathing pure metal. you know, that's the kind of people you're arguing with on this. But it's absolutely insane. But I'd pick a Brexiteer over arguing with a Alex Jones supporter any day of the week, no question. Yeah, chemtrails. Tell you what, arguing with conspiracy theorists about chemtrails, that takes me back. That takes me right back. There's that. Who else was the other guy that I went on? Panwo, that was it. Panwo Radio. Hospital Porters Against the New World Order. That's what it stood for. I don't know if he's still around on YouTube. But yeah, I was on his show once years and years ago. Can't remember who else. There was another group. I can't remember who else was. I talked with them about. But yeah. Anyway, like I say, this stream was to obviously celebrate that we are now officially, the UK is now in a recession. So hooray! Go out and celebrate. Although I don't know how you would celebrate a recession, but thank you so much for joining me on this, like I say, this very impromptu walk. I do these streams randomly, and I do announce them randomly at just random times. So, thank you for joining me, and the people that joined me today. You've been much appreciated. Keeping on this very nice walk. How I will be walking for an hour and a half, which is quite nice. Quite a nice walk. Keep these legs in shape. I do like to think that I have certainly of the UK political scene. I do have the best legs, the best UK political legs on YouTube. I don't know if that's a bizarre claim to make, but there you go. We're making it. But yeah, thank you. Thank you for joining me. If you are new, please do subscribe to the channel. Helps out massively. Please do like the videos. Again, helps out the channel massively. And if you would like to support the channel financially, I do have links down below to a Patreon page and to a one-off donation link called Buy Me a Coffee if you'd like to support the channel that way. Like I say, to those people that have donated to me, we do have this fantastic new microphone that we've been using to do live stream with. So thank you so much for the people supporting me to do that. And thank you so much. Enjoy your day. Don't worry if you came too late. You will be able to rewatch the stream later on. So thank you so much for, again, like I say, supporting the channel and just watching me. Like I say, all does help so much. So thank you, and we'll see you all soon coming up. So thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you all soon. And again, I'm always awkward ending a stream. If you've watched my streams before, you should know that. There we go.